So I am completely blind in my right eye and partially blind in my left. And with my hearing, I am completely deaf on my right side, partially deaf on my left, and it's due to a virus called cytomegalovirus. From 15 to 24, I've hated myself for being a person with disability. I didn't want to accept that.
2012 is when I realized something was wrong. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how to describe it, explain it. I just knew I was not myself. Because I wanted kids. My daughter was planned. I was married. Everything was in line like it was supposed to. But I wasn't happy. And I didn't know why I wasn't happy, why I wasn't enjoying all these things that my life had to offer.
Jackson doesn't seem to have a filter. He would have terrible meltdowns that would go on for hours. My wife and I didn't know how to handle these, or anything, because we weren't quite sure what was going on. But then the more we learned about autism spectrum disorder, and we went to Children's Mercy and they diagnosed him with ASD.
Before, I was unapproachable. I think is the word that described me. I was unapproachable, and no one knew what was wrong. I lost my marriage because of it. I lost my kids because of it. House, everything.
A year and a half ago, I had a family member tell me that it was okay to kill myself. I knew at that point I was pushed over the edge, and when you're told something like that by someone you think you love, you don't realize the effect it has pretty quickly on you.
Jackson didn't have any self-control. We would experience meltdowns that would, just go on and on and on, and we didn't know how to deal with it. And there was even instances where he was, being violent with himself and hitting himself, and we weren't sure, how to handle that. It can really be. There's some days that. Dealing with an autistic child, if they're having a bad day, it's at the end of the day, it feels like you've been through a war.
I remember what I was like before I became depressed, and maybe it happened to me because I was judgmental. I used to think people who couldn't get up were lazy. I thought they were unmotivated or didn't want to. They're not crazy. It's just needing help. Later on, I ended up becoming that person that was stuck.
He was getting therapy at school, services at school, but the school services weren't enough to take care of home behaviors. And so at that moment, we realized, and we picked up the phone and called Bert Nash, and it was almost like a weight was lifted off our chest, because we knew we were going to get the help that we needed for Jackson.
When you are getting help from Bert Nash, they don't want to take away what you aren't capable of. They just want to help assist you in becoming the better version of yourself.
But we've learned with Jackson's autism that a lot of times we have to go into his world. Sometimes it's hard for the autistic person to come to adapt to our world, and so we've learned that sometimes we have to go into his world.
So once I had some direction, knowing everything I needed to do, formatted out, I got on medication, did therapy, and I just kept trying to push forward. That was life-changing, because before I was like a hamster on a wheel, going nowhere. I had no direction, didn't know where to start, how to start.
When I think about belonging somewhere, I never got to that space in my life before. So belonging somewhere like Bert Nash is something I never thought was achievable.
If you have not contacted anybody, or if you're noticing these behaviors, contact Bert Nash and get with them, and they can get them in and get them assessed, and get them going on the right track. Because I think the sooner you intervene with autism, the better off your child's gonna be when they grow up.
And that's my biggest goal, is just to try to stay healthy. And right now, Bert Nash is helping me do that.
Learn to be okay with the process of not being okay. Really take in the help that you're receiving. It might be a long journey, but it's worth the journey, because 12 years later, I'm still happy, I'm healthy, and it wouldn't be without the help of Bert Nash.
I've met just about all my goals. I mean, I still have my days where I'm still fighting the good fight. I mean, I know I'm a completely different person. You know, to always put it in words, sometimes it's difficult.
It has brought us together more as a family because we understand Jackson more and his behaviors. It's become very positive, and it's become a relationship where we're together all the time. If I'm not working or doing something else, Jackson is right by my side.
I'm telling people about my experience because I want them to see change is possible. You don't have to sit up there and stay at a dead end. It happens to almost probably everyone. You know, some people's longer than others, but if you want to try, you have to want to try, then you will make it.
I'm Lindsay. I've been at Bert Nash for 13 years, and I belong.
My name is Brandon. My family and I have been with Bert Nash for about a decade now, and we belong.
My name is Shauna, and I've been with Bert Nash almost 3 years, and I belong.